Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on, surprise AI. But today we're going to talk about adapting with AI and upskilling for the future. So as Anne said, I'm Alexandra Tio. I'm talent marketing consultant at Indeed. And today we're going to explore one of the most urgent and exciting topics in the world of work right now, and obviously what everyone is talking about. And is as we as individuals and organizations, we can evolve alongside artificial intelligence rather than be feeling scared or being left behind by it. So we are all witnessing the profound impact AI is having across industries, with automation of the tasks, with augmenting the fast pace of the decision-making process and the innovation. But with that, it does come with a critical question, and it's around the workforce and how do we ensure that our workforce is not only prepared for the change, but feels empowered by those changes. So that's exactly what it's going to be today about in this session. We'll be digging into how AI is reshaping the talent needs, the strategies that forward-thinking companies like OSL are using to upskill their teams, and how to strike the right balance between technical fluency and human capabilities, like the creativity of the team, the empathy, and the critical thinking. So joining us today is Amanda Porowski-Tony. She's the Director of Talent Acquisition for North America at OSL Retail Services. And I've known her for a couple of years, I think now, Amanda. And she does bring a deep experience at the intersection of technology, the talent and transformation. So OSL have done some great things around that. And today I want Amanda to share that with you. We'll have a bit of a chat together. And as Ad mentioned, we welcome all the questions. So Annie's here to monitor as well the Q&A. So don't hesitate to ask us questions. We'll take them towards the end, as she mentioned. But I think today we want it to be a great communication and more of a conversation. I don't know, Amanda, maybe you want to say a quick hi before we jump in?
Of course. Although I don't think I have much more to say, that was a wonderful introduction, Alex. So thank you. And it's been a pleasure working with you all these years as well.
Fantastic. Beautiful. So we're gonna honestly dive right in. And I'm gonna start like strong, okay, Amanda? So I think it's a topic, AI again, there's been a lot of conferences about it and topics, and sometimes we feel it's about the surface, but I know again, as OSL has done a lot of things internally, I think it's great for you to accept to share them. So the first thing I'm gonna ask you is how employers like OSL Retail Services is redefining what qualified means obviously in your talent, what qualified means in that AI-driven environment and how that has changed for you.
Of course. And this is actually something that we started to think about in terms of like what is qualified, even before like the whole buzz about AI really started out. And the reason for that, with us at least, is very much the fact that we deal in retail services. So we have clients such as Walmart, Samsung, Bell, where we are recruiting the staff to work for those employers, but under the brand name of OSL. So we are recruiting the individuals to work in our kiosks, Samsung Experience stores, but they're obviously OSL employees. With that, it's very much entry level retail and sales. So we're not necessarily looking for 15 years of experience, certain educational backgrounds. We're more looking at the skills that a person may have as opposed to that background experience. So we're looking for things like the soft skills. Are they personable? Do they have transferable skills? Have they had to deal with projects in the past? Do they have any influence into kind of handling conflicts? Versus, again, they specifically worked at this company or have that educational background. On top of that as well, just in terms of, again, what is qualified, we're looking at our own data for individuals as to who's excelling, who's really meeting their KPIs, who's doing well within the role. How do we define what qualified is so that we can then teach our hiring managers, hey, based on this blueprint, you may not actually want someone that has X, Y, or Z experience. You may actually want to look for someone that has these skills, and then coaching that out to them to look for, again, what that person offers as to what's written on paper.
So I hear a lot of like the transferable skills.
Yeah,
Uh, I think we've had actually a discussion a couple of maybe months ago about skills first hiring, but it sounds like it is around that as well.
it is 100%. The skills first is something that we really have tried to champion in terms of looking at what that person themselves can offer, not just in their experience, but what they can do, and trying to champion that through our to our hiring leaders.
And touching on that, I know I'm diving a bit deeper on that first question already. What has been because again, I've heard or discussion around how company they're trying to put that in place, and sometimes there's a bit of challenges internally with hiring managers. So I think around the qualification of term, definitely you've done like looking at competencies to what you say, transferable skills. But can you tell us a little bit more into how your team have adopted your new definition of qualification and the way you decided to move people around of the organization?
Of course, it's a little bit into, again, those benchmarking of when there have been occasions where a hiring manager just come through and said, like, no, I specifically need this experience, this background. Well, looking to see what can be drawn out from that in terms of looking again, looking for those transferable skills, looking to see as well individuals that maybe haven't worked out in the past and saying like, hey, you're asking for these skills and this experience, but based on the fact of person X didn't work out, why are you continuing to try and replicate what didn't work out? Instead, let's have a discussion as to what are the actual things that this person needs to do and doing those kind of benchmarking as to what the role actually requires as part of those conversations.
And you've seen an improvement from it, like from
100%. We've seen great improvements over this year in terms of, again, what we're seeing in terms of our conversion rates through candidates, as well as our retention rates of people that are coming through.
oh, so that's fantastic. So it's good as well that you're really looking at data, and that seems like to be working as well to, I don't want to say convince, but like to push forward the
We are very much a company that tries to not just look at the data, but really understand it and see what it's telling us in terms of, again, the actionable analytics, being able to really have strategic insight into what is going on with our candidate pool, with our candidates, but also what happens afterwards. Like, are they being great employees afterwards? And how can we ensure that that is what is occurring?
So there's a lot of career growth or like performance management that's coming around. I know we're talking about AI, but
Yes.
the thing I think we're already starting to realize is not just about AI, especially because it's human centric. So you have it's a lot of discussion around, and you've mentioned that since the beginning, like the human side of thing, what someone is capable of. Yes, AI is here, but there's always that human touch. So you do have what I'm hearing from you is you do have implemented as well a lot of performance management, growth management, if I get it correctly.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing. And like what you're seeing, as it's kind of what you've done till now, or the process you followed, because I know again you've started before it was like a buzz, you were already forward thinking that way. Um, how do you think how are companies identifying skills in their workforce they will need in the future? Because we've talked about how we got here, but how do you work thinking, I don't know, 2 3 years, if you look further than that, I don't know, but how do you evaluate that internally at OSL?
For us, what we're really looking at are things like adaptability, that they're able to grow and learn, that there's that eagerness to learn as well. I kind of jokingly say we're looking for improv individuals, individuals that always kind of go, yes, and what else can I do? What else can I learn? That they have that kind of strategic insight as well, that they're not just going to build the report and look at the numbers at the surface level, that they're able to really go through and figure out what's the strategy. If this is what the market is like in terms of the candidates that are coming in, well, I can't control that. But what can I do outside of that? What else can I be doing in terms of hiring events or different areas that I can really look at to see how I can change what I can change in all of that? And obviously as well in terms of that, what we're trying to do to make sure that people are adapting to this whole process is communication. We need their buy-in. We need to make sure that for our teams, whether it's in the talent and HR space or our company overall, that we're communicating for AI, what is this actually going to mean for me? What it's going to enable me to do differently, improve on, offering them opportunities and courses and webinars just like this, to make sure that they have that opportunity to learn and grow. It's not fair on us to just say, well, you need to be adapting and not give them opportunities to adapt, either in terms of learning or getting new programs and growth, so that they are already kind of getting primed to do what we need them to do in that 2 to 3 year span.
So you're really anticipating, and like it starts now, it has already started.
It's already started.
It's already started. And again, you mentioned retention and engagement earlier, and can you tell me a bit more, like how is that? Have you seen a bit of a shift? Because again, there's a bit of a, whatever the industry, like it's not just retail, it's everyone is at some point mentioned, oh, am I going to lose my job? I'm going to be replaced by, AI and things like that. So when a company like you is being vocal, like really working with its employee, moving forward and showing them support and the training and the learning, have you seen a shift in like feedback, maybe employee feedback you're getting, or again, the performance management in terms of behavior, or people talking about their career growth and how they sit with the company? Have you noticed a shift there as well?
100%. So we do employee engagement surveys where we're actually asking, like, how do you feel? Like, how long do you see yourself building a career within OSL? What do you hope for in the future? And we have seen, again, an improvement in those based on the fact that we really are trying to over communicate. It's the fact of like, we want to do things in terms of AI and automation, but it's not to the point of impacting our teams negatively. It's about, we want to make sure that you are having the time to not only do well in what you need to do, but also that you have those opportunities for growth and advancement. Like, we don't want you just spinning your wheels, kind of unfortunately having to call people day after day and not getting anything in terms of results. Like, we want you to spend your time where you're going to have the biggest impact, because for us, that's going to make a huge impact in terms of, we'll have great sales teams that are staying and enjoying their sales and reaping the rewards of themselves. So as a sales company, you need to kind of make money in terms of having a great sales team that's having a great recruitment team, because they're going to sell people on why this is a great company to work for.
I love that you said that. Exactly. A recruiter is type of a salesperson. That's a great thing
Yeah.
to, for the motivation as well. You mentioned that. I
Yeah.
think does have a great impact on motivation. Thank you for explaining how you lead with your people, pretty much, because it's what I'm getting as
Yeah.
well.
Well, completely. We need to make sure that we're not just kind of saying top down, like, this change is coming. We have to have the adoption from the team and them understanding why this change is going to happen and why it's going to be a benefit to them.
And can from you mentioned the skills and the transferable skills and all that. Do you have any human skill that you foresee to become even more valuable in an AI augmented workplace? Because again, people going back to that fear of AI, but do you see anything that's actually very positive on the human-centric side of things, where it could actually, from again the human standpoint, being like, oh, it's actually even better with AI, like you as a human and your skills would actually be like increase, or the force of it and the impact of it will actually increase with AI versus without it.
I'm going to make a little bit of a joke, and I hope no one cringes too much, but I really do think with AI, we're going to be putting a lot more human back into human resources and talent acquisition. It is for the fact of, with things that can be done with AI in terms of sourcing and screening and scheduling interviews, we're going to be allowing teams to actually engage with other humans. That we're going to allow them the time to have meaningful conversations, to build great relationships, either with their candidates or with their hiring managers. It's going to go back to really them being able to spend the time selling the company, selling the vision, the dreams, but also hearing about that person. Why do they want to work for us? What do they want to get out of this role? Where do they want to grow in their career? And therefore, as well, we're going to see improvements from that in terms of our retention rates, conversions as well of candidates into hires, because we're taking those manual, repetitive tasks off the team that could be done through AI and automation. And I know, just to plug Indeed a little bit, you've really helped us kind of start down this path with things like smart sourcing and the AI that's gone into looking at job postings. Just those few simple things in terms of having that quick conversion of a message or fine tuning that job posting. That's just saving recruiters so much time that they can then use in having great conversations with candidates.
You do think is reducing like the admin weight of it and
Exactly.
did you, again, it's a lot of data. I actually, I don't know if you're measuring that yet, but do you measure the conversion into, the ghosting was a couple of years ago, let's say, like we've heard a lot about ghosting. It was one of the major challenge in talent acquisition. I'm just wondering, and again, I know it's a kind of maybe off track, but it is, I think it's
No, it's completely on track. Yeah. We have seen improvements with our conversions where not only at the sourcing level in terms of seeing like in some cases like 10 to 20 points improvements in some of our conversions for some of our recruiters. Unfortunately, that's specific, not overall, but we have had some great results in terms of just seeing those better results because they are putting the effort in to really tailor those messages. So it's using that smart sourcing to start with the AI message, but then it's taking the time then to think. Like they don't have to spend 10 minutes crafting the message. They can just take a few minutes, but with those extra minutes back, they're thinking, okay, well, I actually really want to highlight the fact that this hiring manager is going to produce this in the team. Or we really want to sell the fact of the commission with this specific store. So taking those times instead of having to write everything out each time is giving them so much more time to put more creativity into what they do as well. And that's one of the things I think AI can really do. It's allowing our human creativity to really shine through as well.
I love it, and I love it. You're already seeing the effect of it, and because it was new, as you mentioned, new solutions you've been using, whether it's, you mentioned Indeed, which I appreciate. It was not scripted, people.
It wasn't. I promise it wasn't.
No, I do appreciate. But seeing already the impact on having less people ghosting, or I should say even more, having more conversation, because I guess you measure more the conversion of, okay, I'm reaching out to that amount of job seeker, and that converts into that many interviews and then next
Yeah.
step. Already seeing that in such a short period of time, because it's been less than a year, I think, honestly. So the adoption is really fast as well on your teams. So I can hear like the support of OSL with his employee as well is really strong there. And do you have any, you've shared already like the example OSL is doing, but how do you measure the business impact? You quickly just mentioned some of the 10 points or 20 points on like specific cases, but do you have example and data on the upskilling initiative that you mentioned a bit earlier, where you are following the growth of your employee with AI? Again, they're saving time, so they have more time to be creative. It leads to, more positive business impact. Do you have a bit of numbers to share or initiatives to share, like specific ones, and how you've been able to quantify them?
Yeah, so with our internal programs, we have put a lot of effort over these past few years in terms of coaching, ensuring that people have sightline to growth opportunities and upskilling opportunities. So online platforms where they can take courses and learn, where there are promotions either within field or moving into corporate positions as well, making sure that's communicated out through all of our internal platforms. Also having internal mentorship programs that are cross-departmental, cross-function, so that you're really getting a sense of everything that's available within OSL and how you can not only contribute within your current role, but how you can see those contributions kind of flowing across different departments and different programs within the company. As part of that, we've when I pulled this number earlier today, it was kind of startling. We've had 300 internal promotions just this year. So those are individuals that have moved up from an associate into a manager into district manager, It's been so phenomenal, honestly, to see that we've had this number of really advancement opportunities, but we're also seeing that also return in terms of retention because we're trying to make sure that we are living by the example of promoting from within. We're seeing our employees and our teams really investing in that in terms of great sales, great customer engagements as well, because we're nothing without our customers, and that's so rewarding on multiple fronts to see.
Awesome. And I think it's going to be even more in us, and from an employer branding standpoint as well. It's a play, just, when you're looking to hire new people at any level, just feeling that support and be able for your recruiter to vehicle that message as well, and how you're embracing AI so they don't get afraid of it when they start. I think it's a really strong side of things as well. I know we've only chatted about positive. I wanted to see it. I haven't checked like if there's questions yet or anything, but is there any points right now, or if you want to share maybe, because I'm sure you've had some challenges in, implementing that great vision that's now live and that's working. Can you share any, I don't know, setbacks maybe, or tough conversation you had with leadership around this upskilling for AI? And because I guess it's more, maybe a bit more budgets here and there as well to be able to support the teams. Is there any example you can share of like some challenges you've encountered during the journey?
So I would say the biggest challenge is unfortunately sometimes just in terms of prioritization and the bandwidth. We want to do all these wonderful things in terms of, again, setting out these programs, ensuring that we have the full adoption, that we're really trying to push for like the best systems and processes as part of that. But that is unfortunately like one part of the day job as it kind of is. There's still all the other roles and responsibilities that I and my team have to do and we want to do. So it's kind of carving out the time to make sure that we're putting the key focus on that, because we want to make sure that one, all those other responsibilities go well, but this keeps silent and key focus. So if I could make division of myself and my team and make sure that there were like two streams that we could do, that'd be amazing. But unfortunately, it's just trying to make sure that we're earmarking the time to really dive into these and see, okay, what's new, what's come out, what should we be amending in this process, and trying to make sure that we're maintaining the time to do that. As well as it's the interdepartmental thing that we're always trying to do of making sure that we're not just doing this in a silo for our teams, that we're, okay, this is our process, and we're getting other stakeholders involved, sharing across the entire company, that we're all building to this great system of improvements and upskilling.
I love it. Thank you so much. And I love the honesty as well, because again, we want to be positive, and it's definitely a message, and OSL is a proof that it's been success. But we know, nothing is always just 100% perfect. So appreciate like sharing, there's the setback, so there's obstacle, definitely. And when you think, we mentioned upskilling, like the type of skills you see in 2 or 3 years already, but from your standpoint, when you think about, again, AI is like, as we're talking this new innovation, I'm sure, and I know we're in the TAHR space. From your, Director of North America for TA, when you look into the future, anything that excites you, they're looking forward to, that are not yet in place at OSL Retail Services, but you are working towards, or you're excited to see to completion, that you can share with us?
I would say it's definitely anything that is coming in terms of streamlining the process. So where we're trying to push for is where a candidate can kind of come into the funnel in as easy as process as possible. They don't have to go through and submit like a 10-page dissertation just to apply, quick and easy, that they're have ready engagement with the recruiter, booking that interview or phone screen as quickly as possible, that they have easy touch points throughout the entire process to ensure that things are going to go smoothly. And that's what we're really trying to fine tune through and with AI and automation to make it as simple and easy for everyone, not only the hiring managers or the candidates, but also the recruiters. Because again, to the point of really that human engagement, they can then spend that time that they would have been sending reminder texts or reminder messages in having those great conversations with people. And helping them through, again, documentation that needs to be done. Or so that's one thing that really excites me about the future. But it's also, to a certain degree, what I'm excited about is the unknown a little bit. There's just been so much development and advancement within this with just the last couple of years that who knows where this is going to be next. And I really think that it's only going to improve what we can do. That I don't necessarily see the negatives or the fear. I just see that, okay, we have a great opportunity to make ourselves and our teams better through some things that are coming.
I love this. Embracing whatever is coming, like you're
Yes.
already like ready for it. And to your point about, when you mentioned the processes and there's already, with what you're using, some of the sourcing strategies, that simplifying. But yeah, to your point as well earlier, like when you simplify the process, it does free even more time for your team for that connection, that human connection,
Exactly.
more time to have a chat, spend more time interviewing, explaining what the company is about, the culture and everything. So it's kind of the never ending story, but a pretty positive one, because again, it frees more time for you, whether it's the hiring manager or the recruiter, to spend actually connecting or talking to the human facing them. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
We've got a number of questions, so if it's okay, I'm just going to jump in here
Of course.
so we can make sure we can get to as many as we can. So the first one, Amanda, actually goes back to earlier when you were talking about benchmarks, frameworks, and tool. The question is around what tools you might recommend to establish benchmarks and frameworks. That's our first one.
So I think there's multiple ways of doing this really. So dependent on what ATS your company may or may not have, many of them are coming out with options to rank or scale candidates within them. Alternatively, if you are more doing this a little bit manual on yourself, one thing that I've specifically done is just pulling up with the hiring manager's information, like your top 10 people and your bottom 10 people, and looking at their resumes and trying to figure out, okay, what does good actually look like? Because I know when I did specifically that exercise, who they said was going to be their rock stars and who was their bottom performers. In many cases, they had similar backgrounds and experience in terms of the companies that they may have worked at, the skills that were maybe on their resume. And so it's a matter of like, hey, I think you need to look past the surface level here and really just focus on what is actually making this person a great salesperson. Is the fact that they're showing up and they're really kind of being present with their customers and their teams, and they're helping and they're doing the yes and what else can I do to help, as opposed to someone that's maybe just a little bit more focused on just doing it, clocking in and out, and they're not really helping the whole team. And you're really looking for someone that's going to be that team player in some of those cases.
So sort of related to that from a resume perspective, I'll say.
Yeah.
Next question is, do you think AI literacy will be a requirement for future jobs? What are your
I
thoughts?
do. I would say that having some capabilities into kind of using these AI tools, not necessarily that you need to obviously be the backend developer that's coding them, but to understand like how to use the software that will help you build the resume, that will help you to um, screen through with AI, et cetera. Those are things that will 100% be an asset in the future.
I have a stat. I can jump in with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually from an economist. So he is tracking the how often within job description it is mentioned to have it's generative AI literacy. And we compare year over year. So the percentage I'm going to give it to you is very, very low right now. But the fact that it exists and that it's trended upward is just saying it's going to develop. So right now, beginning of 20, like the first semester of 2025, we're at 0.4% of the total job posting on Indeed that have a mention of generative AI within them. So it sounds like extremely small, but when you report it to zero, you know what I mean? It's already starting to increase, and we just see it increasing more and more. And at some point, it's gonna start speeding up a bit faster. So just wanted to throw the number for a data enthusiast in the call. Yeah, agree with mom. It's something to watch for definitely.
Awesome. So, Amanda, kind of a big question, I think. How are companies using AI in the hiring process? Like, what are all of the steps where AI is involved in that process?
So I know from some of the research that we specifically have been doing, it's in some cases automations to the hiring process in terms of messages that are sent out.
Hmm.
In the case of if we are moving a candidate to, let's say, proceed to phone screen, an automatic and AI message can be sent out to say, hey, we'd like to reach out to you. Are you interested? Please converse back in terms of what days you're available. Same thing for anything in terms of rejections. Additional to that, looking at again the interviewing, sending out AI with messages for scheduling those interviews, how it can be made easier from there as well in terms of the back and forth with the candidate in terms of what times
Hmm.
works, all the way through, obviously, as well into background check messages, offer onboarding, really trying to see with some of the software that we've seen come out, how that entire process can be made easier based on the logic of if a person is doing this step, this is the message that's going to be sent out to them. So again, that streamlining of process with AI.
Okay. Next question is around training.
Mhm.
So, and I just want to go back to something earlier that you talked about, and something that I'm finding in talking to clients around AI is I'm really kind of looking at it like a change management exercise in some instances, right? Because it is a change that's happening in the organization, and looking at it from that perspective. And as part of change management, there are usually training, learning, and development elements. So this particular question is, are there trainings you could suggest, especially for this is professionals in the field of communication, balancing authenticity and creating content with keeping up with the times and demands of current workplace landscape? So I don't know if you can comment on that one.
Uh, I've been trying to, I unfortunately a little bit kind of not necessarily name specific companies for things, just because again, no one's paying me unfortunately for this. But I know with again, great place to work, just with your engagement surveys and everything that you have there, you're you have opportunities through partners that can help with this. But honestly, from my own perspective of what we've done, is it's really been a grassroots movement in the fact of we were getting information through our employee surveys that our teams didn't feel like they were informed, that they didn't know what was coming down the pipeline. And this really kind of came up last year. And what we did was we put a task force of various team members of all roles, from admins to managers, that were supposed to really focus on driving communication. And they've been holding, like myself, our VP, accountable to make sure that we are providing that information, that we're looping people in and we're talking about what really matters to the team on town halls and meetings, and that we're listening to that feedback, because it's well and good to kind of sit back and think, okay, I know exactly what needs to happen. But when you're working in a team that of 70 individuals in a company of 9,000, like I don't know everything. I have ideas of what could be best, but I want to
Mm.
get my team's input as to what's going on. And that seems so far to have really worked for us in terms of, again, making sure like, hey, you want communication? Well, tell me how I can communicate better. Put the onus back on you to see how we can improve. Because I'm sure there's lots of ideas from your own teams.
Right. Okay. Next question we'll go to is when job seekers use AI tools like ChatGPT to help edit their credentials. From an HR perspective, how can AI be used responsibly to ensure that the skill they present are accurate and ethical?
Ooh, that is a
Bit of a
very good
meaty
question.
question
It
there.
was a very meaty question. Um, I honestly, that is one that we are still trying to, in all honesty, think through ourselves in terms of if a candidate is using ChatGPT to not only build their resume, but also to interview us. We have seen a few occasions of how are we going to assess for that? And
Mm.
we've done things like specifically for more BI and data roles, where we haven't just taken their word for it. We've then made them do the things that we were going to require them to do. So put them through assessments to make sure that they do know the skills that we need. because I understand completely, like, how else are you going to make sure that the information is accurate unless you can, again, spend the time to assess and make sure that they can do what they say they can.
I think some of the advice now for job seekers is to, go get the job posting and then have a chat bot help you to craft your cover letter
Yeah.
or your resume to pull out those key things. So yeah, thank you for answering that one. Another one around work tools. Could we cover workflow tools or methods that help simplify team workflow processes? So perhaps in your role with your team, what are you doing?
So I'm unfortunately going to mention our ATS just because it kind of will work a little bit this one, although iCIMS is not a sponsor of this event. So we specifically use iCIMS. It is just one of many ATSs to kind of hedge my bets there a little bit. We have them partnering with us to really simplify the workflow in terms of, again, looking ourselves at how we can reduce those manual steps, improve the conversions through that reduction, but also looking at the messages that are being sent out through all of that. Is this message too wordy? Is this a message that could be a text versus a email? Because we know that people are more likely at this moment in time to respond to text messages more quickly than emails. So looking at all those things and getting whatever ATS or system that you're using to really have that conversation with you and look at not only what is working for your organization, but also look at the benchmark standards of what does best in class look like? How can I not only just be working well within my organization, but how can we become the best within the entire industry?
Nice. Okay. Excuse me. Next question. Do you use generative AI to develop questions and assessments that are skill-based?
So we use AI to help us with some of our interviewing questions based on, again, what we have within our ATS as well as some partnerships with Indeed. This is helpful, again, not to just you put it in immediately and you take those questions. It's about kind of giving the initial framework that then our recruiters and our managers can then assess, okay, does this actually ask the question that I wanted to? And then putting that creativity and that human back in terms of, okay, how do I need to fine tune this to actually get across what I want to?
Okay. Okay. Those are the questions from the chat. I just had a question in terms of feedback that you are getting from employees around this implementation of AI. You mentioned that you gather feedback and involve employees, but what are some anecdotal things that you're hearing from folks in your organization?
Yeah, so in many cases, it's a little bit like myself of the excitement in terms of what's coming next. We've also, again, to be honest, like we have had the fear of like, what is this going to mean for me? Am I going to lose my job based on adopting this?
Mhm.
And we've just tried to be really upfront and honest in terms of that is not our goal. Like our goal is to make sure that you have the skills and the tools to make sure that you can do this, but also just trying to really hammer home like the education piece in terms of like we
Mhm.
want to upskill. Like
Mhm.
AI is just another tool. It's going to be, I think, probably as ubiquitous in the future as Microsoft or Excel. It's just another platform through which you can use to do your job. It is not going to replace you, but it is going to be something that you will need to use.
It's so interesting you just used that word ubiquitous. I was actually at a Chamber of Commerce meeting this morning, and the guest speaker said in 2025 will be the year that AI is ubiquitous. So it's everywhere. It's doing everything. And I think that one of the things I'm hearing from you is about involving employees at work, because there's a personal application to this too, right? So how can we help people in their personal lives as well? So there was a question around, is there an advantage to get training to learn to better use AI? And I think that's kind of it's what is the learning? Because for me right now, it's how to write a good prompt, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
power that I'm finding. So I don't know from your perspective.
I would say it's, again, how to write that good prompt, but it's also the tool, as I've heard as well, like is learning as you go through. So it's also giving the feedback as to like, yes, this is what I wanted it to be, fine tuning that message, but also use different tools. Like there are so many platforms that are offering kind of AI at this moment. Like you don't need to just stick with one. Learn how each one is doing their systems. Maybe use a different one for different things because there's so many options out there. Don't limit yourself in terms of, again, not using, but also only using one.
And if I can add to that as well, and because indeed we're really AI focused and our solution that are being developed are really AI focused. And for Amanda, what you just said, trying different tools. One thing as well that I find, even in my personal life, or like when I work and I leverage AI, give feedback to the AI. Like you can actually, I know ChatGPT, the some thumbs up or thumbs down, but indeed we do have the same system. If you use our job description tool, if you use the smart sourcing to find better matching candidates, you give feedback to the system saying, hey, you know what, I don't like your match. I don't think that match is a good match for me. So the system is learning from you, because it's not, again, it's a machine and it's based out of the data that's inside. But it will only improve as you give it feedback. So we'll learn more about the way your company hire, the culture of your company, the type of profiles you're looking for. But you have to give that feedback to the AI you're using for it to learn and get better. So I just wanted to mention that as well, because I don't think it's just switch on the light or just starting to use the AI, it's going to change everything. I think it is a tool that needs to be trained with you, along with you. So I think it's really important, regardless of the one you're using, but to have that it's a machine, but give it feedback. It will learn a lot from you as well.
Yeah, and that I think that was the end of the Q&A. Alex, if you want to close out, just let me double check.
I think we're pretty much at time. So
yeah, I think we're at time. So yeah.
Thanks so much for the question. By the way, we love like live questions, and we do feel it's helping us as well and learn what interests you and the type of topics you want to cover. So thanks so much, Anne, for handling the part and having the discussion with Amanda. And thanks so much, Amanda, for sharing your expertise, all the real world example you give about OSL Retail Service. And how forward thinking your company is. So definitely today, we hear AI. It's not just a technology challenge, but it's mainly from what we've heard today, it's a human one. It's reskilling for new roles, is building the cross functional fluency, or we all have a role to play, is what I mean, for shaping what's the future look like. So yeah, AI is transforming talent across all the sector. It's going fast, but upskilling is the key here. And upskilling, to Amanda's point and all the examples she gave, it's not just a one said and done, but they embedded it. OSL really did a great job of embedding that in the culture, your strategy, and the long-term investment that when you were talking about in the next 2 or 3 years, we can still feel it. It's still at the core of your strategy. So thanks so much for sharing all of that, Amanda. Thanks so much, everyone who joined us today. Hope you find the session valuable. You will get a recording, you will get links and all. We'll be very happy to share that with you. And keep having those conversations among each other, because it's, we never know what's coming next. And there's some people that are master on some topics. So please continue to talk across companies, across functions. Yeah, we are here for you. We're going to do other webinars about it, and we're really excited for Amanda to be a part of it. So thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for a great place to work, to be a great partner with Indeed. We really appreciate all of this and working together. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.